We're just hours away from polls closing in Maryland, marking the end of the 2014 midterm elections. Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, November 4th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, we start off our election coverage tonight with the race for the governor's office. It's a big night here in Maryland and across the region. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown could become the state's first black governor, and Larry Hogan can become Maryland's first Republican governor since 2002. Byron Scott caught up with the candidates and the voters.
We're excited. We've been working very hard for a long time.
And for those who haven't voted early, this is it. This is it.
Anthony Brown wants to be Maryland's next governor. So does Larry Hogan, but that will be decided by we the people.
That everybody has an opinion. And
William Lehue was among the people casting ballots at Largo High School today. He's of the opinion that Hogan would make a better governor.
Because I feel that Maryland deserves to change and we need to move forward and progress as we are as a state.
The Anne Arundel businessman spent part of the morning waving to motorists in Bowie, while his Democratic challenger stopped off at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Largo to vote.
Need everyone to get out and vote.
In part because over the past several weeks, polling numbers seem to indicate the race was tighter than anticipated.
It says there's people that are reevaluating their party alliances and allegiances and saying, hey, you know, is this really the man that's going to be the best candidate for the position?
Kyle Brown says while he's confident, he's not so sure Brown is a shoo-in, even though Dems outnumber Republicans in Maryland 2-1.
Given the past history, he should be a shoo-in, but you never can tell, because I think back to maybe the early 2000s when everybody thought that Kathleen Townsend was a shoo-in, and we see what happened there. We wound up with Bob Ehrlich as the governor.
And so on this election day,
hey, what do we say?
Brown on the electioneering continues because in politics, nothing can be taken for granted.
We're confident, but we'll never be complacent.
We're feeling like we have a pretty good shot at winning this race.
Indeed, someone is going to win this race. It's just a matter of who. In addition to Hogan and Brown, Sean Quinn is running on the Libertarian ticket. Now, the polls closing tonight in a little under 4 hours. At Largo High School, Byron Scott, CTV News.
And since election polls opened early this morning, the turnout for young voters has been high. Latifa Majid has more on the story.
To let your voice be heard is what many voters here today say that they have been preaching to the youth. And it seems like it's been working because officials say that they have seen more first-time voters here today than they have seen since the presidential elections in 2008.
We had an excellent turnout of first-time voters here. It's very exciting to see people come out, and this has been very inspiring just to see young people get involved in the voting process this year. I think just the inspiration that came out in 2008, a lot of people were energized during that election, and that is just trickled down to what we're seeing now, with people saying, oh, I really want to be involved in the voting process.
The primary, it was, I would say, a little bit, but because this is the actual main election, then people have taken the opportunity to really make sure that they are registered and come out and vote.
The issues, I'm hoping that they're following some of the issues. But I brought my daughter out today, who's a first-time voter, so I'm excited.
I think every vote counts. It can make a difference, and, you know, so everybody go out and vote.
Now, if you didn't have time to vote this morning, then don't worry. The polls will be open until 8 o'clock tonight. In Upper Marlboro, I'm Latifa Majid, CTV News.
And again, the polls close at 8 tonight. Well, along with the gubernatorial race, many residents are voting on some important issues that will impact the county. As CTV's Stephen Graves explains, voters are strongly voicing their opinion on one specific question that could give more time for county leaders to serve.
For those of you sitting at home undecided on who to vote for, don't let that stop you from coming to the polls, because what I've got here is a sample ballot with a long list of questions for you to answer that will impact the county moving forward. And one of these is question J. It asks you, the voter, if you're okay with extending term limits for county lawmakers from 2 to 3 terms. Now, we spoke to some voters who are voting out here today. We got their opinion on this specific question. We also spoke to council lady Mary Lehman about why it's so important to come out and vote on these questions.
I'm against the term limits. We need to have equality across the line, let other people come in and do the jobs.
I'm not for that. You know, they don't work on anything trying to, you know, bring the community up or bring about new things in the community or upgrades and things of that nature. They don't have any interest in that.
On question J and all the ballot questions, we want people to come, you know, well informed, to be thinking about the questions, the importance of them, and that they really do have a choice.
Now, there are many other questions on this ballot, some dealing with transportation funds as well as community colleges. Now, as you heard Councilwoman Lehman say there, it's very important that voters just are knowledgeable of all of these questions before heading into the polls to make a knowledgeable decision. In Seat Pleasant, I'm Stephen Graves, CTV News.
And you can read the description of each question you'll see at the polls on your sample ballot.
The future of some county school board seats also hangs in the balance as residents head to vote. Spots in 4 different districts are up for grabs in this general election. CTV visited a polling place in District 6 where Pat Fletcher and Carolyn Boston are vying for the position. Voters say they want to see many improvements to the county school system, starting with the leadership.
Be honest with you, I think the kids should have someone who's going to really take care of them. I mean, do the best for them.
Well, I took in consideration their past record, and some of the records were good, and some of the records were not so good, and so I made my choice based on that. What's important for me is we have folks that educationally qualify to teach and run the school, but a lot of them, they don't have the students at heart and what's best for them. That's how I feel.
School board incumbent in District 2, 3, and 9 are also being contested. We'll be sure to have all countywide election results for you tomorrow on CTV News. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Gina Barty.
And I'm Patricia Valone.